Okay, sorry. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm just going to do a very quick introduction. Basically, Nili is going to do the main part of this session, but before she's diving into the details, I would like to say a few words about the context of this new feature. Our indexes have grown substantially over the years, as you probably noticed, in terms of numbers, but also in terms of material types. And some of that material, specifically non-peer-reviewed, is sometimes lost in the one search result list. That applies, for example, to audiovisual material, and I come back to this in a minute, but also to newspapers. The treatment of newspapers and news articles has been controversial in the Discovery Index for quite a long time. We have many customers who wanted them to be boosted down in the result list or even excluded in the result list, and others just did not. But we also need to have options for users who are specifically looking for newspapers and newspaper articles. And at the same time, we have substantial and growing number of newspaper articles in the index. That's from individual newspaper collections, but also from hybrid collections that contain newspapers alongside other material types. So we need a solution for newspapers one way or the other to make them discoverable, but at the same time to not clutter the main one search result list. And that is really what the new feature that Nili is going to present in this session about. In future, we may add other functions to this feature. It is, as you'll see when Nili is demoing it, it has the same user experience than the main Primo search. It has not all the same functions, but it has the same user experience. And depending on feedback we get, we're probably going to extend this and maybe, to add some more specific things that are specific to newspaper search. The user group, Iluna and Iglu, actually created a new working group that is specifically focusing on providing feedback from public services librarians and users on specific matters. And the first task they're doing is to do a survey on the use of newspaper articles. And later we plan to do the same thing for audiovisual material. The purpose here is to create user stories around special material types and then generate requirements for functions and features and flows from that. I think in the past we have been very focused on peer-reviewed material in general and books and book chapters, but not so much on material that is a little bit special in the sense that users use it for different purposes than the peer-reviewed material. And I think we also felt that we are lacking a little bit knowledge here about how users are using that and what the context of a user is who's using newspapers and audiovisual material. So we hope that this sort of research is going to also help us a little bit more to understand how users want to find this material, what they're using it for, etc. And you'll see more features to come out of that in the future. So this is all from me, just about the context of the new newspaper search. I'm looking forward to your feedback, obviously, but now over to you, Nili, to get into the details. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you everyone for joining. So what we are going to do, it's going to be a short overview on the newspaper. What we are going to do is I'll explain what is the newspaper search, what are the impacts, what to expect when you activate it. We'll explain a little more about the option to have a featured newspaper. Do a short demo on that, and then I'll try some technical, what are the configuration options, how to activate it, and to clarify about the activating collection, make sure that everyone understands that it's remained the same process. We added filters to allow to help find more items on that, and then the rollout. So let's start. So what is all about this newspaper search feature that we are releasing now? It's all about now allowing search, as Christine said, we identify news item as a special one. So now in order to allow easily search of news items, we are providing a new landing page for the newspaper, as you can see here. It looks the same as our standard search, but having a new search, a new newspaper landing page allow us to provide a special functionality for newspapers, such as allow you, the library staff, to define and group together several magazine items into a featured newspaper category to allow easy search on a specific area, as if you like to do for define for historical news, business one, and more. And I will elaborate more in the coming slides about this featured newspaper capability. So, of course, this is the landing page with the exposure for what you choose to do, and there is another entry point for the search is a search box to search only on exclusively on news items coming from central index. So, and of course, another entry point for that is this entry, another entry in the main menu. So let's continue. Just want to, here in this slide, I would like to help you understand what is going to happen when you activate it, when you will enable the feature of the new newspaper. So once you choose to enable the newspaper feature, you of course are going to improve the discovery of scholarly material. It's going to affect the way your search results appear in the standard search, because automatically when enable the newspaper search feature, we are going to exclude any news item from the search result, of course, for the standard search, and I will demo that so that it will be clarified. So even if you are if you are working and searching in the standard search, even if you are blended, you will not, once activating, no news item coming from will come from Primo Central anymore. So in order to enable the researchers to get newspaper content, we are putting hints in the search result, in the search landing page, in order to help the patron reach the new newspaper landing page, and I will show that. So, of course, another impact that we have once activating that, we are allowing the patron to search and to discover more news items, because we are going to add more collection, and we are helping with finding a specific news item in specific category. This is what we are calling the featured newspaper. In terms of user experience, as mentioned by Christine, the same user experience will be there. It's the same full page, it's full display. It's the same look and feel, so patron can feel like he's familiar with the system. But we now have the ability to provide much enriched experience and to enhance the newspaper discovery with more functionality based on this research or based on customer feedback. So now I would like to elaborate more about what is the featured newspaper. So the featured newspaper is actually a way to expose news item grouped together into a category. So library staff can choose to group together up to 5 magazines, 5 ISSNs into specific categories. For instance, I can define a sport news, especially from the coming sport news, or financial news, or ethnic news, or marketing news, and group together several magazines. And by doing so, I actually allow the patron to search within this category, to search within this scope. So each featured newspaper can be considered as a search scope. That means while I trigger a search, I'm actually triggering a search for with my search term, search for the in the scope of those ISSN that you will define, and I will elaborate more about the configuration option after that. So the ability to define featured newspaper is, of course, when you configure a featured newspaper, you will expose those categories in the landing page, as I will show you, and you are also letting the patron to see them by selecting the scope. So then again, it's look the same as the standard page when you choose to configure their library catalog or article on or other stuff. So this is the same user experience. And now let's go ahead and do a short demo on that. So we'll start the demo with, of course, introducing the landing page as I mentioned. So we have this search box for searching news item, and we have the newspaper with the ability to search either on all of the newspapers that I'm activated for, that my institution is activated, or search for all of the featured newspapers I've defined, or choose to search on a specific one. So now if I'm going, and this is like seeing here in a really nice manner and with a short description about what it is all about. Here I choose to define historical news, and business and finance news, health news, ethnics, and any other category that you would like. You are able to define up to 5 categories, and for each category up to 5 ISSN, 5 magazines, 5 collections. So here, let's say that I'm clicking on the advertising and marketing. So actually, what behind the scenes happened that I activated a search on all of the collection. I can see that I have 9 million items on advertising, and let's say that now with the coming World Cup, I would like to know in terms of marketing what were the campaigns, the leading campaign based on the history of the World Cup. So I will search for World Cup marketing campaign. And it will not be a surprise to discover that one of the leading campaign is coming from the beer. Okay, so I'm getting only news item within my search results, and I can open and access the full display, same look and feel, and go and read about the news item in the full and access the full display here. So this was one aspect how to find. I just go and search within all of the scope of the advertising and go and specifically search them within these feature results. Now I would like to continue the demo as if I'm a patron and I'm not really familiar for the newspaper. So I would like to search. I'm now in my standard search, and I would like to search for World Cup hero to learn about the World Cup heroes, and I can see there are interesting books about it, but I'm much more interested to look for news items. So what I'm really used to do, I'm going to refine my search by newspaper, and we'll see that it's not the same facet value. It's not, for the resource type, I don't have any more news items as a facet value. Rather, I have a link to newspaper search. Another hint for the patron to see that if he's looking for newspaper, you will not find it in these search results, because in these search results now we are only providing scholarly material coming from the Primo Central Index. We are excluding news item once the feature is enabled. So another hint that we will discover on the screen is if I'm searching for news item, I will be referred to have, if I'm searching for newspaper search, you can access the newspaper search here. So either from the resource type, so-called link not facet, or the link below the search results, and of course there is the newspaper entry in the main menu that can also imply that I have a dedicated discovery page for newspaper. So I will click on the newspaper search, and now I'm switching to the new newspaper landing page here and get the results for the World Cup heroes. If I would like to go back to the results, I have the ability to go back to my library search here. So I've searched for World Cup hero, and what I can see is only a bad news, or the ones that were recently died. So I'm no longer interested in that. I would like to get more information about specific hero, which is Maradona, and I would like to know what were the great moments of Maradona in the World Cup. So I searching for that, and it's very interesting to see an article about the famous hand of God moment in the World Cup. But this one is coming from 2018. I really would like to know, to search for an historical moment. So I can choose to have the feature newspaper and search for historical moments of Maradona. So I can search for that. And there are a lot of talks of Maradona, but if I'm specifically interested in specific here, so 1986 was a great year for Maradona. I can refine my search for that. Okay. And I can go ahead and see the article, an interesting one on Maradona. It said, "Let's leave Pelé in peace." If you are curious to know more about this, I'm learning a lot. With this feature, I'm learning a lot about history. So it's nice to know. So you can see and go back to 1986, where Maradona said that he was so glad to be part of the finals, and he's so happy to know that Argentina has won, and you just can prepare for the coming World Cup, having this feature activated on your Primo and read a lot. And allow patrons to read a newspaper recently coming from the World Cup. So I encourage you to do that. So that ends my demo on the newspaper, and I enjoy reading from it. And let's continue to learn more about the configuration options. So what are the configuration options? How can I enable the feature? So there is an option to enable the feature per institution. This feature is currently defined as a beta. We would like to see you activated and provide us feedback on that. So you can enable the feature in the institution wizard. You are also have the ability to configure per view to decide whether to display the featured newspaper and whether to display the link to the newspaper. So it's also a checkbox. By default, when you activated the newspaper search, those links are checked by default. If you would like to have the featured newspaper configured in the news landing page, you will find that there is a new mapping table which called the featured newspaper, and you can define up to 5 rows, up to 5 categories. For each category, you can need to define the ISSN. You can group up to 5 ISSN, up to 5 magazines in one category. So I can configure sport news. In the call table, I will name it and have a description. And I can have all of the sport news magazine that I'm interested in mapped to that. So this regarding to the configuration option. Now, in terms of activating the collection, the flow of activating the collection for news should be the same. It remains the same as you used to have. In order to activate a news item, you need to go to the institution profile and select and activate from there the collection. We added 2 new filters to help find news item material, news item collection. One collection is called Contain Newspaper. That means you will get all of the collections that we are currently activated for you in the Primo Central Index. They will mean the same. So if you you can have the Contain Newspaper filter over there, and another filter for collections that are going to be added and will be exposed only only when searching with the new newspaper search. We have this filter only available via newspaper search. So you will gradually see more collections that are being added to this under this filter, and you will be able to activate them. And once the cycle is over, they will be part of your. You will be able to discover them. Of course, we know that there are hybrid collections that are on the hybrid collections that are containing both news items and other material. Those collections can be shown either in the contained newspaper or in the standard collections filter that you used to work with. So just one more thing to mention about documentation. So we have in the Knowledge Center an article how to configure the newspaper search, and we also created frequently asked questions to know if you're looking for more knowledge about that. And then in terms of the rollout of this feature, so at this time this feature released as a beta, we would like to see you opt in and providing feedback on that. And the features will be, you can start opt-in the feature and play with it starting of July. This feature is like, it was developed as a cross product. It also involves also development part of Alma and SFX, and it also depends on the content, the KB update. This is why it's been this is why it's better to start using it starting of July. And one more thing to mention, as long as it's a beta release, you will be able to opt in. At one point, we would like to see this feature available for all. So we will be activating it for all by default. And I think that is. So really, you are welcome to activate the feature and give us feedback for that. And now it's a good time for receive your questions.